Welcome to the first video in a brand new series where I pick a game, learn the speedrun, and then give my thoughts on the game, the run, and whether or not I enjoyed it and recommend it be picked up as a speed game. After some deep soul searching, dreaming up only the most creative and clever titles, I've decided to call it The first game I'm going to tackle is an old classic from 2015, Grow Home. And I know this is only the first video, but I need to come clean about something. I already cheated. Grow Home's a game that I know intimately like a lover, already having explored every beautiful low poly inch back in the day, and being a part of the group that helped route the game. And as I told anyone that'll listen, I used to hold the 80% world record and did so for around 5 years. But imagine my surprise when one day while recounting my feat of sheer human strength and endurance, that I ended up sharing one of my lowest moments when I opened the Grow Home speedrun page and discovered that I was a number 2. Bested by Don Farini with a 15:33, 7 seconds faster than my time. Later that night, hands shaking, vision blurry from tears, I updated the title of my run on YouTube. But little did I know these were actually the good times, and I eventually slid to 3rd when Kay Stenzel took the top spot with a 15:24. Well, last week I decided I was tired of whispering their names into my pillow every night and started training. So let's get into everything you need to know about speedrunning Grow Home. First things first, let's talk about what you're going to need to get ready for running any percent. Well, it's essentially nothing. Just go out and buy the game and you're ready to put your name on the board. No specific patches or regional versions. It's as easy as they come and I absolutely love it. And now that we're all set up, it's time to learn the route. In Grow Home, you play as the robot Bud, and the goal is to get his plant up as fast as possible to put a seed inside Mom. Or something like that. And this is done by growing branches into glowing islands in the sky, and like a true hero sucking all the natural resources from the planet. So the actual run is split into 4 different sections. The first has 4 islands to connect with, then 6, then 8, and the final section has you racing to the top of the plant, grabbing a seed, Mary Poppins your way across a tiny gap which feels absolutely massive at the end of the run, lose a buttload of time fumbling with the telerouter, and then finally pulling a switch to end the run. Now the first section is actually the most technical and where most runs are destined to die, but in order to understand why that is, we need to talk about how movement in Grow Home works. So Bud is a physically based character with completely procedural animations, and this causes him to stumble around or trip, and generally makes it feel like you have no fine control over him. The upside is that going down an incline is usually seamless and allows for bunny hopping to pick up speed, but if you're looking at even the gentlest uphill slope, you need to prepare yourself for the fight of your life. Aside from walking, Bud can also grab with both of his dumb little robot hands, which allows for climbing anything or grabbing onto and growing new branches. And now back to the actual run. The very first thing you want to do in every run is grab the crystal which you spawn directly over. This will unlock jumping, which is something you want to start spamming right away. Due to the procedural animation when jumping, if Bud's legs are at an angle behind him, he'll be propelled forward, and the effect can be enhanced by half sideways hopping, which with the right line shoots you straight into ludicrous speed. At the end of this section, it's best to try and hit the pile of rocks, which are all physics objects, and with some luck can bounce you higher on the wall, making the fall and climb a little shorter. And on this wall there's also another piece of tech that's essentially only used here, where after grabbing onto the wall with one hand, Bud will plant his feet on the slight incline, allowing to jump right away, which is way faster than scrambling. And with that, finally you've reached the plant, and the most interesting part of the run is behind you. From the first island, you'll need to grab a fall flower, which you'll then need to take through the rest of the run. It's used to stop any upward momentum you have, and also allows for gliding small distances horizontally. But it only lasts for so long, and if you use it up, the run is dead. So don't do that. And from here, the route is pretty set in stone until the end of the game. Branches only grow so long, and once they reach a certain length, it's time to let go and start riding the next closest one. And the branch and island order has been made to use the smallest number of branches to safely reach each island. So really, once you know the order, it's all about learning to wrangle these insanely RNG heavy branches to get them to go where you want to. And after enough time, you start to get a feel for the threshold at which they lock onto a nearby island and automatically move to connect with it. After around 13 minutes of riding branches from island to island, it's time to head to the top and finish out the run. Grab a seed, try not to let it block your movement, bunny hop off the slope leaf into the ship, start up the telerouter, plop it in, watch the seconds slip away as the machine thinks about starting up, head up the ramp, flip the switch, and be welcomed into the Hall of Legends known as Grow Home Speedrunners. Hall of Legends. Now overall, the run is really easy to pick up and learn. Even after not playing for 6 years, I was able to pick it up and learn it in about an hour. And now that we know the route, let's finally talk about what it's like to actually run the game. So here's the thing about running Grow Home. It might be one of the most wildly frustrating and inconsistent experiences I've ever had. Everything about this game is totally random. The willingness of Bud to move where you tell him to, the spawn position of branches and leaves, the amount these branches fight you while riding them, it all changes from run to run, and any of these things can easily turn into a run killer. As I said before, the route is also made with safety in mind because branches can spawn in 4 different directions from another branch, and if they happen to be facing the opposite direction from where you need to go, you might need to take an extra branch, which will cost you a good chunk of time. And sometimes these just have a mind of their own, messing with the camera rotation, or if you get too close to another object they might decide they need to get away from it, or want to attach to it, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. Another asshole thing these branches do is for whatever reason curl away from an island they should attach to. Like I said, they normally lock on when close enough, but sometimes these goddamn snakes move around just so they don't connect by a few inches. It's always awful moving on with your run, and then off in the distance seeing a branch curled away just to bone you. There's also a couple different sections where you need to hop off leaves to reach a further area, and depending on which side these spawn on, you may or may not get where you need to be. That's if the leaf actually boosts you, which seems to happen just as often as not. So pretty much no matter what you're doing during the entire run, don't forget to get on your knees, open your mouth, and say a prayer to RNGesus. The thing is though, most runs won't even reach the plant just because the first minute is so inconsistent. It's pretty random whether or not you get a good start depending on how Bud first lands with his feet, and from there there's no way to know how much or little speed you'll get from any hops, so a lot of times you'll hit a rock or something and have to reset, or if your angle isn't right coming to the climb, you'll completely blow yourself apart, and that's another reset. Even if you manage to make it to the first branch, you have to overcome one of the hardest challenges, which is pulling this flower from the ground. Now, I didn't think I'd ever see the day a cold, unfeeling machine with articulated hands would be brought to his knees by a sweet and dainty flower, but after living it 20 times over in a couple hours, I'll believe in anything. And now let's say your run has been blessed, and you're approaching the final stretch. It's still not as safe as you might think. Most of the time the seed just hangs in the air even after you grab it, and then like I said, it's almost guaranteed to block you moving up the hill, or pulling down the telerouter latch. Even if it doesn't kill the run, it's a complete nightmare having a pretty sweet time, and all of a sudden you're hemorrhaging seconds waiting on Bud to move while pressing the W key so hard it's about to shatter. It's all so frustrating, and the problem is even after so many hours running the game, there are countless mistakes in every single run, and a huge number are going to be completely out of your control. So running Grow Home is less a test of skill and more a measure of patience. So I've got varying levels of feelings on Grow Home depending on exactly what you're looking for. For a casual game, it's amazing. I absolutely love the game and think almost anyone would enjoy creating these huge plants and playing around with some really goofy movement. Then for someone just looking to pick up a game and run, without being too serious, I think it's alright. It's so simple to learn and get an alright time on, that if you're looking for a casual and fun run, this might not be a bad game. It's only if you're looking to compete for a top time that the run really doesn't stand up. It's just way too random and the skill ceiling is so low, there's not really a correlation between time spent playing and getting better and better times. Coupled with the fact that any run that's going good can die in an instant at pretty much any time, makes grinding out a mind-numbing chore. And now for the results. After 100 attempts, I only managed to finish 3 runs, with my final time being a 15:22, barely taking back the coveted title of Grow Home any % world record by 2 seconds. Now, I 100% believe the time can go sub 15, and I also believe someone will take it there with some of the new tech. But for now, I'm going to hang up my clamps, recharge my batteries, and enjoy my time in the sun.